Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are talking about the curious case of the Lenin, the Tier 8 Premium Soviet BB that is no longer available. You can't get this ship anymore. It's been pulled from the store with this update, and it is a strange case because this ship is one of the more Russian biased ships that I've seen in the game. Yet, it seems like barely anybody has it, or barely anybody plays it, at least from my experience. And it doesn't get mentioned a lot, especially when players are talking about Russian bias, as they so often like to. This ship doesn't get brought up. You hear about the Kremlin, about the Slava, about the Stalingrad, about the Petropavlovsk. Don't really much about the Khabarovsk anymore. The Riga, what's the tier 10 light cruiser? Not the Neustrashimi, the Novesky. There we go, got that out. Almost choked on my tongue there. And the Smolensk. But you never hear about the Lenin, which is strange, very strange. So the Lenin, if you don't know, if you can't tell, it's a drunk Nelson. She has 9 16-inch guns in the same setup that the Nelson has, except her number 2 turret can 180, unlike the Nelson. Her citadel is a little bit more exposed than the other Soviet battleships, but it doesn't have that slight angling that the other Soviet battleships have. It's a flat citadel, meaning that you can catch your broadside and citadel are much easier than other Soviet battleships. But with the way her turrets are set up, you don't really have to worry about that too much, because you can sit bow in with the Lenin, because she still does have that Soviet icebreaker bow, so you can tank for days there, and use the front 2 turrets, squeak the 3rd turret around every now and then, because in addition to having her turrets in that configuration, having Soviet 16-inch guns with I think she has a 798 meters a second velocity, she has great maneuverability. This is a really fast ship, a really fast battleship. Right now, with a speed flag on her, she has a top speed of 30 knots flat, which is pretty good for Tier 8. And her rudder shift time is 13.5 seconds. And she's a very quick run-up, too. She doesn't take a lot of time to build up her steam like something like the Kremlin does. She's quite nippy, which surprised me the first time that I played her. So with that maneuverability and speed, you can sneak that 3rd turret in a lot more and get your 3 other Soviet 16-inch guns in the fight. Now, a disclaimer for the footage you're watching in the back right now. I don't know what I did to matchmaking, but I obviously pissed it off. Because this morning, this is on a weekday, not on a weekend, I played for 2 hours straight, trying to record good footage in the Lenin, and I just got 8-9 minute matches all morning long. I wasn't allowed to break 107,000 damage, which is really annoying, because the Lenin is a fantastic ship gun-wise, and you can easily do 150k in the ship. But of course, the match has to last that long in order to do that. But yeah, wasn't allowed to break 107,000 damage. Came top of the team constantly with the Lenin. That's how good it is for a more experienced battleship player. But yeah, matchmaking just told me to go take a hike this morning. I have a 63% win rate in this ship, by the way, too, which is fantastic for a Tier 8 battleship, considering Tier 8 ships get up-tiered all the time, and battleships, especially Tier 8 ones, up-tier really, really roughly, with the exception of the Lenin and the Massachusetts and, like, the Alabama. But yeah, with that out the way, I do apologize again, there's not some more exciting footage in the background. I'm probably only showing you the only match that went on past the 10-minute mark. But anyway, back to the Lenin itself. So, you got 9 16-inch guns, Soviet 16-inch guns with Soviet shell ballistics, Soviet shell characteristics too. You've got a very maneuverable ship, a good armor layout from the bow end, and a kind of sneaky ship too. Her concealment's down to 13.1 kilometers. And a Tier 8 battleship. That's great. So all this in one ship. Why isn't this ship talked about more? It's like no one talks about this ship, really. Again, when you talk about Soviet bias, or you go read a comment thread on Soviet bias on the forums, on YouTube, on Facebook, on wherever, people will bring up the Kremlin, the Slava, the Stalingrad, the Moskva, the Petropavlovsk, of course, the Nevesky, the Riga, but not really the Lenin, which perplexes me because this ship is ungodly strong, especially for a tier 8. I mean, these guns are so hard hitting at close range that, well, especially with the Soviet gimmick, because at close range, from about 12 kilometers in, the shells really just godfist with their dispersion because of the gimmick, and you be blapping targets for 30,000 damage, especially if you catch them broadside on. And it's terrifying to be on the receiving end of that. I'm not sure if it's that it's pretty easily citadelable compared to the other Soviet ships, because again, the other Soviet ships have that slight curve to their citadel armor, so they're a bit hard to citadel, but the Lenin is not. Well, you can citadel a Lenin for max range, whereas with the Kremlin, you got to be a bit closer to do that. It's so strange. And what's really strange, too, is that the ship is not popular. I played all morning for 2 hours, and I didn't run across another Lenin at all. And the way matchmaking is supposed to work now is that it's supposed to match you with, ideally, your exact same ship on the enemy team. Meaning that it should have been trying to match me with another Lenin. It's like I was sitting in queue for a very long time. You know, I think the longest queue time I had was like 15 seconds. So, obviously it's not a shortage of players, this thing, or anything like that. It's just not a popular ship, yet it's been removed, according to Wargaming, for popularity, but I think it's because it's a bit too powerful and they don't want to nerf it. It's a very strange case. And then, on top of that, too, if you have Kuznetsov on here, you are incredibly tanky and can be a real thorn in the enemy team's sides, because with Kuznetsov's will to victory talent, where he just feels like not dying once you're down to 10% of your health, get a free damage con, get a free heal, and Bob's your uncle. And again, it's so perplexing, because this ship's like Massachusetts levels of good. Now, Massachusetts is, in my opinion, more fun because of the secondaries and because of the playstyle. The Lenin's more of, like I said, you find an island, create a channel, get your front 2 turrets in use. Every now and then you can swing that 3rd turret around, you're feeling a little spicy, and throw that one into the mix too. But it is up there with Massachusetts, and in many ways it's kind of better than Massachusetts. I used the Lenin to rank out. The last time I ranked out, it was before they redid ranked, where it was at tier 8 and we didn't have all the different stages of stuff. We didn't have gold, silver, or bronze league. It was just, here you go, get to rank 1. I was using the Massachusetts and I was having a real rough go at it. Then I went ahead and I switched over to the Lenin, and I did fantastically well. And that video is still up. I think it's called I Was Wrong. And it was, it was quite the pickup from the Massachusetts. And again, it's just so strange that this ship isn't talked about more when Russian bias is brought up. It's like it completely flew under the radar. And it's not like it's surrounded by other super biased ships. I mean, the Kremlin's a strong ship, but it's not what it was when it was released. Same with the Stalingrad. I've talked about that recently. Like, the only really other super Soviet biased ship that I think is in the game right now is something like the Petropavlovsk. All the other Soviet ships, they've kind of been adjusted to where they don't stand out as much anymore. And again, it's not like the Lenin just came out and was pulled very quickly. It was out for a very, very, very long time. And the Lenin itself hasn't been changed at all. It hasn't been nerfed, hasn't been buffed. The reload time hasn't been increased or decreased or anything like that. And it's like no one noticed, no one talked about it. I mean, it was in a couple of my top 5 videos for, insert ship here, because of the sweetness of the guns and her tanking ability. Her other downside too is that her AA isn't amazing. The higher tier Soviet battleships starting from the Vladivostok have pretty good AA. The Kremlin actually has a really, really good AA. It's just that her AA mounts have so little health now because, for whatever reason, Wargaming decided that the only way you can kill the Lenin is with a CV. Not a Lenin, a Kremlin is with a CV when the Kremlin first came out. But it doesn't have the best AA. You really have to depend upon your fighter planes for most of your AA. And it may be that she doesn't really have a lot of AA mounts, but they're few and far in between, but they're pretty powerful. However, with the amount of HE you run eating this thing, most of them will be broken by about halfway through the game, so that might be why I don't think she has that great of AA, but it just always seemed to be a weakness from my standpoint. Plus, her deck's pretty wide too, so AP bombers and HE bombers don't have, a lot of ship to miss. But yeah, that's just a confusing point for me, that the Lenin flew under everybody's radar. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Why do you think this ship got through the rage fest that is normally the Soviet bias meme? And like, every ship that comes out that's Soviet goes through this phase, but the Lenin, I don't really ever remember reading or seeing any videos talking about how biased this ship is or how broken the ship is. But it really is just like a point-and-click adventure from about 13 kilometers in with those 16-inch guns. You just punch everything in the face and get away with it. And it's, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think maybe it's because of her citadel, maybe it's because of her kind of lackluster AA, or maybe it's the range because she does only have an 18.8 kilometer range on her guns? Granted, that's not all that short by tier 8 battleship standards, but doesn't really seem to hurt, because again, I had a bunch of tier 10 games this morning. I still averaged 105,000 damage despite the matches being ultra short and mostly at tier 10. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What's up with the ship? Why did it fly under everybody's radar? And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. One way to 30,000 subs. Just passed 26,700 a few days ago, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you all having a wonderful Thursday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.